So Jolene, under the new Property Practitioners Act, estate agents now get a 3-year FFC, which is the first one they got last time. When do they have to renew this?
Yeah, by the 31st of October in the 3rd year. So it's only valid for 3 years, as you said.
Is everybody on the same 3-year period, or are different people on different 3-year periods?
No, you're not. Say you get your FFC tomorrow and I get mine next year. That's when the period starts running for 3 years. By the 31st of October of that last year, the 3rd year, is when you already have to submit your application to renew it, because it takes a bit of time for the PPRA to issue you with your renewal.
Okay, so coming up now, the 31st of October, some but not all property practitioners need to look at renewal.
100%.
Okay, and what happens if you don't renew?
Ooh.
When you should, by the 31st of October.
Yeah, so we often tend sometimes to leave things, but it's so important for a property practitioner to have a valid FFC, because if you're not licensed and you have this great deal with commission coming in, we as the conveyancers simply can't pay you your commission because you do not have a valid FFC from the regulatory body, the PPRA. And of course you'll incur fines as well in terms of the PPA, the Act. If you do not have a valid FFC, it basically means you cannot do any business and do any deals or do any rentals if you do not have a valid FFC.
So what happens if the agency's FFC is still valid, but the agent's individual FFC is now expired and they were the agent on the deal? What happens there?
Very good question. Unfortunately, the firm's FFC needs to be valid, as well as that property practitioner's FFC must be valid, and of course the principal's FFC of that company when we're talking about the estate agent category.
Okay, so a conveyancer would typically ask for the agency FFC and the agent FFC, and if both are there, they can pay out commission.
100%.
Okay, otherwise they can't.
Absolutely, and we've seen absolutely cases where I said, I just forgot to renew, or I didn't get a reminder, but it is your responsibility as a property practitioner to ensure when the time comes for you to renew.
There's probably quite a lot of property practitioners out there that don't understand that they fall under the category of property practitioner and they also need an FFC. And the new Property Practitioner Act has actually expanded the term to include a lot more other professions.
Yeah.
What is a property practitioner?
A property practitioner, there's actually 12 categories of property practitioners currently, and there's the most obvious one that we tend to get confused with is we have an estate agency FFC, but we've opened a managing agency now, and we have that FFC. No, you need an FFC for each different category you practice in. So to name a few, estate agency is one industry, managing agent is the other industry, auctioneers, online platforms such as Property24 and private property also needs an FFC. Developers, if they also sell their own units, they require one. Attorney employees, now that is completely different, and people often tend to think that if I'm an attorney, I can sell property, but that's not so. I need an estate agency FFC when I sell property out of the ordinary course, as opposed to an execution or an auction or anything like that.
And that's a recent change, right? So you used to be able to do it, now you can't.
No, you can't.
I understand that bond brokers, which is the term they use for bond originators, also are now classified under property practitioners.
Yes.
Luckily for us, our regulatory body, MORCSA, has launched an appeal on that, and we have a 3-year exemption from being property practitioners, but we will be included, I think it is actually October 2025. For property practitioners who need to renew their FFC or don't have one and realise they do need one, what can they do next before the 31st of October?
Yes, so there is quite a bit of information on the PPRA's website. I was also involved when I was there. We formulated a checklist and a frequently asked questions to all different property practitioners, how you can obtain your FFC, what forms you need to fill in, what documentation you require. You can also contact us at VDM and we will gladly assist you with that process. It is quite a lengthy process. It goes through 3 different departments sometimes. It goes through your licensing and registration department. Then it would go through your audit department if you're exempt from holding a trust account. And then it will go back to the licensing and registration department after the finance department has allocated the payment. So it takes quite a while. Sometimes it frustrates property practitioners, the process.
I heard a lot about the amount of unallocated payments that the property practitioner deals with, and that's why it's so important to put your 7-digit reference number as a reference for the payment, or else if you put your name or your ID number, they actually can't allocate the payment to the correct property practitioner.
No, 100%, but for new property practitioners, say we've started our own managing agency now, and you do not have that number, your payment reference will be your name and your surname.
Okay.
But for estate agents, your 7-digit PIN, vital for all your payments.
And communication.
Yes.
Thanks, Jolene. And I'm sure that VDM attorneys will also assist our property practitioners with their renewals.
Yes, absolutely. Please give us a call. Visit our website. We have a checklist on there for you to navigate your way through, but do not forget the deadline of 31st of October 2025. If your 3 years are up, please get your FFC.
Yeah, and don't do it on the 30th of October. Do
Absolutely
it at
not.
least a month before, if not 3 months before.
Yes, indeed.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.